So today we've come here to discuss about the latest Atlassian announcement on their products and solutions following the Team 21 event formerly known as Atlassian Summit. There has been a lot of news and our CTO Nathan will try to explain you all of this in this session so you can get a complete understanding of these changes. Over to you, Nathan.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan. I'm the Global CTO at Valiantis. And it's a pleasure to have you join this webinar today, during which I will update you on the major announcements that have been done during the Team 21 event around 10 days ago. So I have made a selection of what I think is the most interesting and all the most relevant. So obviously, this is not a thorough analysis of everything that has been announced. In terms of agenda, I start with the product announcements, and there were plenty. Then I'll also update you on the changes on the existing products. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So in terms of product announcements, this can be summarized with what Atlassian calls the Point A program. So Atlassian introduced Point A as where good ideas become amazing products. And I think this is a great summary of what they're doing. Basically, Point A is the place where Atlassian will publish all their new products, and they will make those available to end users for alpha and beta testing. So as a client, you'll have the ability to help Atlassian shaping better products, as well as getting early access to those tools. All the products in the Point A program are cloud-based products. So this does not mean that they will never be available to data center. However, it's just more convenient for Atlassian to have those on the cloud, because that way they can release very often. And as these are alpha or beta programs, obviously changes are rolled out on a very regular basis for now. So I will present today the main products that are part of the Point A program, starting with the first one, my favorite, I would say, Team Central. So Team Central is based around that fake quote that you can find on Atlassian's website, which reads, "I love status reporting, said no one ever." I really think this is true because I've never met anyone who told me that they love status reporting. By status reporting, I mean updating other teams in the organization or your management team as to what's happening on your project. Is that still on track? How things are going, sharing all the KPIs and so on. And indeed, if you think about it, the status reporting on projects, it takes time, it takes energy, and it's not always a very pleasant activity. And at the same time, it's very essential to provide visibility to all those stakeholders, because they're investing either time, resources, or money into those projects, so they need to know what's going on. And by default, in Jira, you don't necessarily have any feature that would help you provide that clear visibility over the progress without it being too detailed or too technical. So if you think about how in your current organizations, or you or your colleagues are handling status reporting at the moment, well, it probably involves creating some reports, some exports, playing with the data a bit, creating some PowerPoint slide decks to present that to the management teams. And all the teams are doing that in a different way. It's very rarely consistent from one team to another. So there's definitely something to improve here, and that's what Team Central aims at doing. Team Central is basically a social media for status reporting. This would be the central repository in which all the projects are tracked and all the progress of those projects can be tracked over time. In this view, you would see what projects are on track, at risk, off track, have not been updated for a while, or even completed at some point. And it works like a social media in the sense that it requires the project managers to update the status of their project on a very regular basis, actually on a weekly basis. And as a user, you would then have to choose which projects that you want to follow, and potentially which themes do you want to follow. So themes would be represented here as project labels. So if you're interested in a certain type of project, you would be able to follow all the projects that are based on this label. So it works the exact same way as any social, or I would say recent social media on the market. In order to create your project in Team Central, you can of course do that manually for now, and you have to answer those 3 simple questions. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what success will look like on your project. So this may seem simple, but I'm sure there are a lot of projects in your organization that have not answered these questions, or at least they have not made the answers to these questions public to anyone who's interested in your project. So this is how it works today, but hopefully in the future, Team Central would be able to collect all your Jira, Confluence, or Bitbucket projects and mix them somewhere in that product to make sure you don't have to create those manually. But that's not the case for now. And then you can attach your project to overarching goals that are linked to your company or your department strategy, and on which you will be able to report on. That's also something that's very interesting, because at the moment, unless you are using Jira Align, which is the Agile at Scale product, part of the Atlassian family, you don't necessarily have a way to really track the progress of a lot of projects that are going in the same direction, or hopefully they are. And so in Team Central, you would have that goal, that goal item that would enable you to actually track if you're actually progressing towards your objectives. So as I said before, each week your project managers, they would have to update everyone on the status of their project, and this is how it's done. They would have to enter or update the current status of the project, either it's on track or it's off track, there's a risk, and then they would be able to set a new end date for the project if needed. And the end date can be selected as a specific day, but also a specific month, a specific quarter, even a specific year, depending on the granularity of your project. After that, the project managers would be provided with only 280 characters to update their project. As I said, it works exactly like any social media. And Atlassian have made that choice because they think that project status should be short and to the point. And if you only have 280 characters, that will force project managers to actually focus on what's essential for all stakeholders to know about the progress of this project, and nothing less and nothing more. You also have the ability, if needed, to add images or videos inside that status update in order to bring additional information or data into that status anyway. And from a management perspective, you often have a lot of projects that you need to track, and so the less reading you have to do, the better it is for you. So 280 characters is definitely a good thing here. Another interesting view that is available in Team Central is the project view. So from the home page, you're able to see the status updates of all the projects that you have followed. But if you focus on a specific project, you will have that timeline view, which will be very good for you if you want to understand a bit more about the history of a project. At the moment, whenever you're asking how a project is going, if you really want to know how it has been progressing in the past, you will have a hard time doing so. You would probably have to dig through all the previous PowerPoint reports that have been shared somewhere and we hardly find them and so on. In this page, in a very simple way, you will be able to see how things were maybe 2 months ago and how things are today. And you will be able to scroll down the history of that project in details. So Team Central is on a beta program for now. You have the ability to create your own space and start playing with it today. If you have a cloud instance ready, you can add it to your existing cloud instance. And if you don't, you can spin up a new cloud instance for free and try Team Central out. I really think there's a lot of potential behind this product once it really gets fully integrated with the rest of the Atlassian tool suite. But it's definitely answering a requirement for easier and better status reporting. One other product of the Point A program is Jira Work Management. Jira Work Management is the new Jira core for the cloud. It's focused on business teams to track their work. What I like about it is that it gets rid of most of the too technical features that you have available in Jira by default. And it makes it easier to grasp for those non-IT teams that we want to address here. And of course, it remains based on Jira. So you can leverage all the standard features that you like and are so powerful, like automations or workflows or custom fields. Jira Work Management adds a lot of new templates, project templates in the solution, and they come with a predefined set of workflows, custom fields, and issue types, for example. So you can see on that screenshot that there's an event planning template for marketing, there's a month-end close template for finance team, or a budget creation workflow for finance team. And there are a lot of other templates like those. Based on that template, you would have a different issue type and different custom fields and different workflows. So if you are a seasoned Jira administrator already, you will not be very, very impressed with what's out there. You are definitely not necessarily the target that Atlassian wanted to address with this. The templates are quite basic for now. This is clearly more aimed towards very new Jira users in order to get them on board and running very, very quickly. And it really works very well for that objective. However, in the future, we really hope that these templates will improve and also that Atlassian partners like Valiantis will be able to add their own templates on the Atlassian marketplace for the Jira Work Management users to benefit from. Jira Work Management comes with a set of views that enables you to see your Jira issues in a different way than usual. The first view is a view that you should know already. It's the bold view, which is also available on Jira Software, for example. It's quite similar to the one that you have in Jira Software, but it's simplified. As you can see, there are no quick filters here, or at least you cannot configure them. And the columns are directly mapped to each status of the workflow. You can't map two statuses on the same column, for example, but that's okay for a start, I would say. And however, what I like is that based on this bold view, you can click on any of those issues and it opens up in a nice pop-up window, which is very nice and lean. It does not contain a lot of information, or at least more information is hidden from the main view. So you clearly have access to the most relevant and interesting information, and you can action the issue directly from there. All the complexity of Jira is hidden by default, which I like very much. The next view is one of the best in Jira Work Management. It's called the list view, and it enables you to see and inline edit all the issues in the list. It's basically as if you were on Excel, for example, and you can update any of those issues directly from that table. And everything happens in the background. So there's no loading time, no waiting time after you have edited something. It gets updated without you actually noticing anything. Clearly, this is a very neat user experience, and I have not experienced something similar up to now in Atlassian products. It's really, really good. It's fast and it's intuitive. You can also, in that list view, edit the columns that you want to display or not, and you can display the closed items or not. So the filtering capabilities are a bit limited for now, but they already told us and everyone that they are going to improve that in the future. Actually, that list view would probably be a very good fit to any Jira edition. I would really like to have that in Jira Software or in Jira Service Management. But for now, as far as I know, there's no plan for it. The next view in Jira Work Management is the calendar view. So it's a calendar, like you can have a team calendar for Confluence, for example, but it's in Jira. It displays all your issues based on their due date. And unfortunately for now, only based on their due date. You can't really customize that. What you can do from that view is click on any day and it will open up a pop-up for creating a new issue based on that specific due date that you selected. I would say it's nice, but clearly this view has to be improved. For now, there's no drag and drop. You can't drag and drop any issue to change the date. So I would say it's quite limited, but it's promising. And finally, my preferred view for Jira Work Management is the timeline view. This one is based on the start and end dates of each of your tasks. And the bars associated to each task are colored based on the status of your issue. You can also see there's an avatar showing up on the bars showing who the assignee is. And in this view, you can actually drag and drop things. You can change the start date and end date. You can switch to a weeks, months, or quarters view. And so it's really, really promising. What they will add in the future, though, is for now, you can't really see the dependencies between all your tasks. So definitely something that would be worth adding in there. And also, you can't really display subtasks under any task. Hopefully, they will bring that in a next release of the product. Another interesting feature in Jira Work Management are forms. Forms work the same way as issue collectors do. Issue collectors enable anyone to create a new issue on your system based on an HTML form that you can include in any of your pages. Here it's pretty much the same thing. You can customize your form, adding new fields, changing the name of the fields to make them more relevant for your end users. And you can have a portal which works a bit like Jira Service Management's portal for your users to log in their new issues, which will then fall into Jira Work Management backlog. So this is it for Jira Work Management. The next product that was announced is Compass. Compass is a new software which was originally created for Atlassian's internal needs. It centralizes information from several data sources like services, APIs, documentation for development teams. You also have the ability to create checklists for services so that you know if a service meets all the standards for being production ready, for example. And if you think about it, at the moment, there's no real place in Jira, Confluence, or Bitbucket where you can actually track that kind of information successfully or efficiently. So it's good to see that problem addressed. We are very, very early stages with Compass, but it's an alpha, but you can sign up to the alpha in order to learn more and being able to try out the product. Another interesting initiative from Atlassian is Open DevOps. Open DevOps is a bundled and free tool stack of Jira Software, Confluence, Bitbucket, and Opsgenie. Atlassian's goal with Open DevOps is for small development teams to be able to start building and shipping products very quickly and efficiently. Once they get started, teams are able to swap any of those Atlassian products with third-party products, best of breed products like GitHub or GitLab, if they wish to. And once the team grows, they're of course able to switch to a paid version of those Atlassian products. So that was all in terms of updates around point A. So these are very exciting updates. It's great to see that Atlassian continues to invest and innovate. And now we're going to switch to the existing product updates that were announced as part of Team 21. And let's start with data center updates. The first news around data center is that Bamboo is finally going to be data center available with a data center edition. Up to now, Bamboo was only available as a server license, but as Atlassian is moving away from server licenses, they needed to have a Bamboo data center. Bamboo can sometimes be a mission-critical product, and therefore it requires to be available at all times, as well as providing fast builds and deployments. And this is what you'll be able to achieve with Bamboo Data Center. Now for Bitbucket Data Center, there are some very nice features that have been announced as well. The first one is a new build view, which is available from Bitbucket, and on which you'll be able to monitor all the builds that are done at the Bamboo or the Jenkins level. And you'll also be able to trigger those builds directly from Bitbucket. The objective behind that is to make Bitbucket the main software used by the developers, and they can basically do everything that they need to do from that product without having to switch context all the time, which obviously makes them less efficient. The second feature that was announced is the zero downtime upgrade. The zero downtime upgrade is already available on Jira and on Confluence, and it's logical that they now bring this capability on Bitbucket Data Center. It will enable you to upgrade your product while the application remains available to end users, as well as your development pipeline. Finally, Bitbucket now has a concept of, it used to have a concept of mirrors, which is still available, but they are now doubling down on this, introducing mirror farms. Mirror farms are basically works the same way as mirrors, but instead of having a single mirror in a specific location, you will be able to run multiple mirrors in each location. So this is definitely a feature that is aimed at improving the experience for very large and geographically dispersed teams. So that should clearly improve performance for them. Okay, so now let's have a look at what Jira Service Management has in terms of new features. The first one is not something that was announced as part of Team 21, but you may have missed that. Insight for Jira has been acquired by Atlassian and is now part of Jira Service Management Cloud Premium and Jira Service Management Data Center installations. Insight for Jira is an asset manager product, but it can also serve a lot of other use cases. Now that you can benefit from this new product for free, it will be a good opportunity for you to review your current use cases on your instance and see where Insight for Jira could potentially fit and add more value. At Valiantis, we have helped a lot of organizations implementing Insight for Jira. for their specific use cases, which are outside of IT asset management. So if you're interested, of course, we could help you with that. The next big news is the Proforma acquisition, well, actually the ThinkTilt acquisition. So ThinkTilt is the company that created Proforma, which is an app enabling to create complex forms in Jira Service Management. These forms look like this. You have the ability to create complex and dynamic forms. By complex, it means that you can have lots of fields displayed on the same screen without it being too cluttered, as well as dynamic forms, which means that based on the data you have filled in already, it changes the way the fields that are displayed or the validation that needs to be done at the form level. And this was clearly a feature that was missing, especially in an enterprise service management context, where you want to, you have non-IT users that needs to use the portals. And what we've seen so far is that for those teams, the forms are much more complex than for IT teams in most cases. So Proforma comes with nearly 300 forms templates by default. So you can create any new request type based on that form, and then of course you can tweak those forms based on your needs. Proforma features will slowly be integrated within Jira Service Management as time goes by. Another acquisition was done by Atlassian in December 2020. It's Harp. Harp is a ticketing system that was built to help support team work from their chat tools. So initially, it was integrated with Slack, but now Atlassian announced the integration with Microsoft Teams during Team 21. And Harp and the Microsoft Teams integration will enable you to create tickets directly from Microsoft Teams and also to transform messages to any message to a ticket. And it fully synchronizes with Jira Service Management in the background. So this really helps in addressing this use case where at the moment when someone reaches for help on a chat tool, that person often gets a please raise a Jira ticket answer, which is understandable from the IT team perspective, of course. But now with Harp, you get kind of the best of both worlds because it's very convenient for anyone in the organization to create a ticket from the chat tool, but also at the same time, the IT team benefits from all the Jira Service Management features like the SLAs, the workflows, and the reporting. Okay, so that's all for service management. Let's go now to see what Confluence has in terms of news. The first thing around Confluence, which is very interesting, is automation for Confluence. So you may, of course, know about Confluence for Jira, but now they're bringing that to Confluence. And Confluence for automation for Confluence, sorry, is going to be made available for the Cloud Premium Edition. Like the Jira version, automation will provide you with lots of flexibility to create your own rules based on a trigger, a filter, and an action. One obvious use case would be to archive pages after some time without it being updated, for example. But I'm sure you'll be able to find plenty more use cases for automation in your specific context. Smart links is another interesting feature. It enables you to create richer links from Confluence. At the moment, you can only display a link as an URL, or if it's a Jira link, you can use a Jira macro, for example. It displays the status of the issue dynamically. With smart links, you'll be able to display links as cards, and cards will contain more information on what actually is behind that link. So that's really an interesting feature that they are bringing, so that you don't necessarily have to navigate several pages before you find the right information for you, and you know before you click on the link if it's what actually you're going to find in that link. The next feature is something we were looking forward to for quite some time now. It was a long-awaited feature. You can now view inline comments while editing a page. Before that, you had to open a page in two separate tabs, one in view mode and the other in edit mode, if you wanted to take into account all the reviews that you had on the page. This was very, very inconvenient. Now they fixed that, so that's great. Finally, they are introducing a guest access on Confluence for the premium edition on the cloud. It will enable you to invite external guests to collaborate on your pages without having to change the entire space or page tree permissions. Page permission in Confluence can sometimes be a bit tricky. And at the moment, when you have to give access to an external provider, for example, on one of your space, it's very often easier to move that page to another space, for example, and move it back once you're done, which is not very convenient. So hopefully this new feature will fix that problem and will enable you to collaborate more efficiently with any stakeholders in your organization without having to worry too much about all the space permissions that you have.